Welcome to English Podcast Academy. My name is Olivia, and it's so nice to see you here today. If you're trying to improve your English in a natural way, you're in the right place. Today's video is here to help you in 3 simple but powerful ways. First, I'll tell you a story that's easy to follow, full of emotion, and one you won't forget. It's the kind of story that helps you connect with English in a real, meaningful way. Then we'll explore some useful English phrases together. These are expressions you can actually use in everyday life, and by hearing them in context, they'll stick with you more naturally. And finally, I'll leave you with a quiet reflection. Something gentle, something encouraging, to keep your motivation strong long after the video ends. So grab your tea or coffee, find a cozy spot, and take this moment just for yourself. It was late afternoon, that quiet golden part of the day when the sun begins to soften and everything slows down just a little. The park, once buzzing with kids and laughter, had quieted into stillness. Leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Shadows stretched long across the grass. A woman named Alina sat alone on a worn wooden bench near the fountain. In her hand was a book, its cover bent, pages dog-eared, but she wasn't reading it. Her eyes were open, but her thoughts were somewhere far away. She was thinking about a job interview she didn't get. The way they had thanked her for her time, smiled politely, and said they'd keep her in mind. She was thinking about the rent that was due next week and the numbers that didn't add up. She was thinking about how life felt like it was on pause. Not broken, but not moving either. Everything just felt stuck. That's when an old man walked slowly toward the bench and sat down. Not right next to her, just enough space to be respectful, but close enough that she could feel his presence. He wore a flat cap and carried a paper bag with something small inside. His face was worn but kind, like someone who had been through a lot and still chose softness. They didn't speak at first. They just sat. The fountain bubbled gently beside them. Birds chirped from the trees. A dog barked once in the distance and then fell silent. It was the kind of silence that didn't feel awkward. It felt shared. Then, without looking directly at her, the man spoke. "Tough day?" Alina blinked, surprised. She hadn't expected anyone to notice. "Yeah," she said, exhaling. "One of those days where everything feels heavier than usual." He nodded slowly, his eyes still on the fountain. "I've had those," he said quietly. "But I'll tell you a little secret. Nothing stays heavy forever. Even the worst storms. They pass. Sometimes slowly, sometimes loud and messy, but they move on." Alina offered a small, polite smile. She wasn't sure how to respond. She appreciated the kindness, but part of her didn't want to talk. Still, something about his voice made her stay. He continued gently. "You know, when I was your age, I thought every mistake was the end of the world. Every failure, every wrong turn. It all felt final. But now, I see them differently. I see them as doors. Not closed ones. Just doors I hadn't meant to open yet. Sometimes life leads you through the wrong hallway, just to bring you to the right room." Alina looked at him, truly looked, and something in her chest softened. Not because she suddenly had all the answers. She didn't. But because someone had reminded her that confusion wasn't the end of the road. They talked for maybe 15 minutes. Nothing urgent, nothing dramatic. Just a slow, wandering conversation. About coffee preferences, old phones that never worked properly, stories from childhood, and how strange it is that life always seems to surprise you when you least expect it. There were pauses. There were quiet laughs. But no pressure to be anything other than 2 people sharing time. Eventually, Alina stood up. She had to go. There were still bills to think about, emails to answer, and life to figure out. But something had changed. Not everything. She wasn't magically fine. But something. She felt lighter, not fixed, not suddenly happy, just less heavy. Like maybe, just maybe, it wasn't all falling apart. Maybe it was simply changing shape. She turned to say goodbye when she heard the old man call out, "Hey!" She paused, looked back. He pointed at the book in her hand and smiled. "Don't forget to finish that chapter," he said, his voice playful but sincere. "The ending's always the best part." Alina nodded, smiling softly now. And for the first time that day, she believed it might be true. Now let's take a closer look at some useful phrases from that story. These are real, natural English expressions, the kind people use every day in casual, meaningful conversations. Try to listen to how they feel, not just what they mean. The more you understand these in context, the more confident you'll become using them yourself. Tough day? This is a short, casual question that gently asks someone if they're struggling or going through something. It's often used when someone looks upset, tired, or distracted. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" or "What happened?" you can simply say, "Tough day?" and give them space to share. It's informal, but caring. Use this phrase when you want to check in on someone without being too direct. Everything feels heavier than usual. This doesn't refer to physical weight. It's an emotional phrase. It's a poetic way to express that your day, your thoughts, or your feelings are more intense than normal. Maybe you're stressed, sad, or just mentally exhausted. Saying something feels heavier helps describe that invisible emotional weight we sometimes carry. Use this when you're feeling overwhelmed or when someone else is going through a lot. Nothing stays heavy forever. This phrase brings comfort. It's a reminder that pain, sadness, or stress won't last forever. It's not dramatic. It's gentle, steady, and supportive. You might say it to a friend who's struggling, or even repeat it to yourself during a hard time. It's a soft way to offer hope without forcing positivity. Use this phrase to gently encourage someone who needs a reminder that things will get better. I see them as doors. Using doors as a metaphor is common in English. In this case, it means viewing mistakes or failures not as endings, but as unexpected beginnings. It's a mindset, choosing to see setbacks as opportunities that lead somewhere new. For example, that job didn't work out, but I see it as a door to something better. Use this when you want to express that challenges can lead to new possibilities. Talked about nothing and everything. This sweet phrase describes a relaxed, meaningful conversation where the topics don't really matter, but the connection does. It's the kind of talk that feels deep, even if you're just chatting about coffee or childhood memories. It means being present with someone, without needing a specific reason. Use this phrase when describing a conversation that was more about connection than content. The ending's always the best part. This phrase can be taken literally, as in the last part of a story or movie, or as a metaphor for life. It suggests that even if things feel confusing or hard now, something good might still be waiting at the end. It's a hopeful reminder that the full picture hasn't been revealed yet. Use this to offer hope and remind someone, or yourself, that the best moments may still be ahead. These phrases are full of feeling, and now that you've heard them in a real story, they're not just vocabulary. They're tools for expression. Try repeating a few out loud, or think about how they fit into your own life. The more you listen, the more they'll become part of the way you speak. You listened beautifully today, and that matters more than you might think. Just by being here, just by giving your attention to one simple story, you've already taken a step forward. No pressure, no rush. That's how real growth happens. Not through force, but through quiet moments like this. Slowly, gently, with words that stay with you long after the video ends. If you can listen like this every day, even just for 10 minutes, English will stop feeling like a subject you have to study. It'll become something you understand, something you feel, something that lives in your ears, your memory, and eventually your voice. The playlists are ready for you. The stories are already waiting. All you have to do is press play. Take your time. Be kind to yourself. And when you're ready, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.